Hello world, this is Zan playing Late Age Calum in Lucid's 2022 Dominions 5 tournament. This is turn 40, and it starts off pretty well. We are successfully empowering ourselves in blood, even if it horror marks the user. We've cast Voice of Aptitude twice. I think we've cast a few other ones, but the two important ones are these first two. This one first finding 3 water gems on its own, and this other one finding, I think this is 2 water gems. Well, not there. 2 water gems and a nature gem. So that's probably some of the best Voice of Apsu I've ever done. We also start with a disease demon from Utgard trying to kill one of my raiding commanders. If you don't know what a disease demon are, they're a pretty tough blood spell to cast that sends one of these guys out to assassinate one of your commanders. Usually if you have some sort of scrawny old mage, this is going to be a huge problem because they have pretty good stats, a lot of hit points, high magic resistance, and morale. They're ethereal, and between their 2 attacks, if they do hit you, they're likely to add a disease on your commander, which, depending on what nation you're playing, what items you have available, and what stage of the game it is, could be pretty deadly, even if he does get defeated. On the other side, we have Zarthos, the Storm General, a veteran of the TNG Wars. So he's got some good amount of experience, but his former wounds, or I guess his wounds, and himself being diseased before this demon even got there means he has less hit points despite his pretty fantastic stats. With the Ice Blade, it's at 15 attack, 15 damage, and then 18 defense skill using his Ice Aegis. He's fighting in cold too, so he's only going to have 18 protection, but that's still more than enough against the 14 attack. Despite that, just due to the health difference between the targets, it's really a game of dice rolls. So seizing the initiative, Zarthos strikes first and flies over to the disease demon side. I think they both fail. Let's see, the disease demon misses and then gets repelled, and the storm general misses. So they're pretty fantastic duel going on here. Luckily, that ice blade is able to pierce through the ethereal, and he lands a good hit. And in the next round, another good hit, and one more of those, and he will win. He actually cut off the thing's arm. Clever. And he's done. Zarthos the veteran is able to defeat a disease demon on his own without a scratch. Fantastic. The other news going on again is I'm magic phasing a bunch of my mages because there was a thug from Utgard that was out of reach. So we had to go hop on that and resolve that issue. I think that's here in the Forest of Gila. Yep. So this is what happens generally when you have a thug that is not size 6 and is up against an air nation. The threat of air elementals is almost always going to be present. Now, there are things that he could have done before we even look at his items. He could have you do this thing with Scrotty because their base form and their werewolf forms are not stealthy, but they have an actual direwolf form that is. So what you do is you have a scout walk alongside them and hold all of these items for them, and then they stealth around in the province. Because this magic phase attack is hitting him before he is moving out. So this kit was visible to me, and I'm dropping these air elementals on him, which is going to be a defense check, a base defense check. So if he had a shield, it wouldn't matter. But it's a base defense check against being trampled for 20 armor piercing damage. Given his 20 protection, meaning he's going to be taking at least 10 damage each time. Now there's a few spells he can probably cast, and it looks like he's cast Moss Body on himself. That will help not get trampled. But then the second thing comes into play, which is he is susceptible to shock, which means once he successfully starts defending himself and drops down some of these air elementals to a smaller size that they can't trample them, or trample him, as soon as they land one hit, he's going to get stunned, and it's all over from there. So you see, they've landed, and their first few hits do almost nothing. The Moss Body is negating them, he's evading them. It's pretty good. But then he defended himself against this air elemental, brought him down to size 3. It immediately lands a lightning swarm hit on him, and that's it. He's going to be stunned now. The smaller elemental will continue to stun him because he's not going to be able to defend himself, and the larger ones are continuing to trample him. That small hit from Lightning Swarm, being armor negating, also destroys the Moss body. And with that, this Scrotty will just slowly get wiped out. Oh, I think I spoke too soon on the Moss body getting popped. Yeah, here it was. So, my bad on that one. And he's gone. So this is one of the reasons why it's hard to deploy thugs against air nations, Kalem being one of them, others like Vanheim, Moria, because if your thug has way too much items on them and no possibility of stealthing out, now again, the Scrotty did have the possibility of stealthing out, the air nation player can just say, okay, I will match your use of items with my use of cloud trapeze and air elementals, because this was expensive for me, but I think I got more value out of it than if I would have had my own thug or my own army against his, especially since I got a blood booster. This is huge because, as we all know, I have this crazy blood economy plan I'm trying to work on. The other magic phase attacks is here in Star Peaks. I send just a Harab Elder with a Skull Staff and a Black Steel Plate. Very basic armor. And the reason is I have now access to Invulnerability, which is going to give me 30 protection to mundane attacks. Magic weapons will still pierce me, but it doesn't matter. Are the rest of my spells just casting some sort of resistance through Tempered Flesh and Soul Vortex, so that on top of being highly resistant to this melee damage, I am healing. Fire Shield is just mainly to seal the deal, but it's more of a win more spell because, well, I lied. With these Jotun Spearmen, you could technically get a good roll in and kill this guy, but not anymore. Not anymore that he has Soul Vortexed his way up to 23 hit points. At that point, it's unlikely, and now with Mistform up, it's near impossible. So there was a window where I could have messed this up and had these Jotun Spearmen take me out. Didn't happen though. Yeah, these little elder guys are pretty nifty at raiding. I like them. Okay, that ends most of our magic phase attacks, and we go into our normal phase attacks. Well, or apparently we witness some of Ulm. And initially we thought, okay, well, Ulm is going to be my ally against Atlantis, but as part of it, I'm taking some provinces from him just to make sure that Atlantis doesn't get everything. So he didn't really need these provinces, so I figured I'd grab them. I don't think we have any other major battles. The Atlantean army moving, some more raiding, pan fighting. I lose a force against not much, honestly, but hey, it is what it is. And then we just get a bunch of events. This one is actually interesting. This Silver Woods one, the Gilded Gate inside of the mountain, is related to all those troll events I was getting earlier. It's pretty annoying. It's the sign of the Troll King. If you guys don't remember, just because it was some time ago, this is the province that just trolls, trolls, and then this means that it's likely that there's going to be more trolls. Joy of joys. But anyways, that's going to be the end here for turn 40. But I'm going to go ahead and take a minute. The turns 41 to 46 between my own oopsie and forgetting to save them manually, and the bot at the time of these turns actually happening was going through some sort of update. Turns 41 to 45 are actually missing. So I'm just going to kind of do a quick recap on what happens there. And it's mostly where I start winning wars, or I win a war by losing every single battle. Essentially, if you look at the strategic map now here in Utgard, I have enveloped Golfalas, other than this one force here in Tapanets, but even that itself is enveloped. So I've enveloped this, and I'm able to just start funneling a lot of forces to it while maintaining some sort of front to Atlantis to try and tie up his forces so that Ulm is able to defend himself. I don't see that honestly happening. This is just an army of wolves and goat herds versus, elite Atlantean infantry and archers. But, I have to show I have to show face for my alliance with Ulm of trying to help him defeat Atlantis, but he collapsed so quickly. This is a very Poland, France kind of situation, I think. Maybe. There's a lot more detail to that, but for the most part, that's what's going to work here. Now, in Utgard itself, what ends up happening is I'm able to take Golfalas pretty easily. It's not a major battle. Whereas over here in Stone Heavens, I do take a major defeat to the Garmherdings. There's some good magic that gets thrown out, and ultimately I lose against them. I don't think I had enough forces or mages of my own to defend. The result of this ends up being that Utgard and I peace out, where I take just a few border provinces, but absolutely take Golfalas, which is 25,000 population, and an amazing stepping point, or jumping stone, I guess, to the rest of his nation. Without Golfalas, and with Pan having taken these southern forts, if I were to go to war with Utgard again, the only fort in my way really is Utgard's capital itself, and then he has these two fortresses on the far end of his empire, not facing me, so they're essentially useless. The other things that happen, somewhat at the same time, is I do take a move on Summer Edge, and I try to contest Atlantis there. Unfortunately, I take a big L, because although I've been seeing Atlantis fight for some time, I didn't really take into account how effective some of his magic would be. I knew if I fought Atlantis, the battle would go like this. I've seen his Golden Order wizards, so I know he's going to cast fire magic on me. I've seen he has, I don't remember which province it was, but I saw him recruiting ice druids. I think it was this one, this Eric Balkor. And gosh, I wish I would have taken this so much earlier in the game. Then those ice druids would have been mine, and this game would have been this game would have been so different if I had taken this province early on and taken the ice druids that are in it. But I remember him recruiting mass of them here. So what ends up happening is I know that he has water nature, which is what the ice druid paths are, and you have astral fire, which is the Golden Order wizards. So I assumed our battle in Summer Edge was going to be a race of can I kill his army before my army dies to foul vapors and firestorm, or alternatively, before it retreats to wailing winds. And this is somewhere where, although I've actually even won a game as Calum before, early age Calum specifically, I didn't realize, or I didn't remember how absolutely devastating Wailing Winds was to the Kalian force, or to any army that flies, to be honest. So there's multiple fights that happen at Summer Edge that play out almost the same, which is I move on my large force, I'm intercepted by Atlantis, I cast my spells, he casts his spells, and what ends up happening is because I'm using, I'm pretty sure it's soon, this is what I'm waiting for. I'm waiting for weapons of sharpness. I end up using weapons of sharpness in mass, and I'm able to tear through his Atlantean units, but what ends up happening is between the foul vapors, between Firestorm, which I was not expecting Firestorm, and between Wailing Winds, after I have killed all of Atlantis' army, and I'm about to kill his mages and win the fight, my army routs. Often, my army routs at the same time his army is routing. But because he is playing a nation of these heavily armored Atlanteans, almost frogmen, he takes much longer to get off the field compared to my flying units that instantly fly away. And I think we repeat this twice, where I almost win and then just straight up lose because Wailing Winds is stupid against flyers. And then the third time I take just a complete disastrous loss, and I'm left with my fortress at Lapintha with very few units left. To exacerbate all of this, one of the things that led to me not bringing enough magic to these fights, which would have made the difference, essentially, because of how close they were, is as soon as I take a step onto Summer Edge, I fall into Atlantis' trap, and he casts Vengeful Waters. For those who don't know what Vengeful Waters is, I'll show you here on the next turn. Let's go all the way to turn 46. Vengeful Waters is right here. Suddenly a chunk of snow and ice has risen and attacked this guy, that guy, this guy. Essentially, for each candle, each Dominion candle that the Vengeful Waters caster owns, there's a chance, a strong percentage chance, especially if you're near rivers or a coast, whatever it is, any body of water, there's a chance that an elemental, water elemental normally, an ice elemental in the case of cold scales, is going to come out and try to assassinate your mages. This is devastatingly powerful. So I lose tons of magical power in the first wave of Vengeful Waters. The first turn it comes up, I lose a ton of crap to it. And then after that, I try to skim some unnecessary mages off the top so that they don't die to Vengeful Waters, and I think that ends up backfiring, where now I have less mages that are going to die to Vengeful Waters, but then I don't have enough mages to actually win the tactical battle. And you see, even this would traditionally be like this right here would be traditionally the end of an assassination battle. We have this guy cast Horde of Skeletons. We have his bodyguard drop down. We have a Thunderstrike come in. Unfortunately, and this is an interesting viewpoint of this, it's not enough because it is an ice elemental. If this wasn't if this was a water elemental, this might have gone in the favor of my white mage, because a water elemental is going to sit there and try to kill these skeletons one by one. This ice elemental is just going to trample its way through. And the reason this is interesting is most of the time you don't want ice elementals, you want water elementals. But this is a very specific use case where, no, ice elemental ends up being better. Look at that. What a complete disaster. And that happened to me in mass. You see, the success rate on these ice elementals is huge. And this is all a consequence of earlier on, if you remember what I was doing my turns, I was using every single drop of gold into units to go fight. Half of my forts didn't have temples in them. I didn't have time to do it. And then it's something I wanted to do after the TNG war, but one thing led to another, and I never found myself in a moment of peace where I could actually invest in my infrastructure. And this bit me in the ass now too. So we have a few more battles. In Lepintha, you see me attempt to thug the Atlantean army. And I think this might maybe have worked if not for Atlantis dropping his literal pretender god on top. This wasn't here before. He magic phased this thing onto my fort just to show that he is for sure taking my fort. And it also shows a little bit more of his magic diversity. This is wild. At this point in the game, I only have Woodhenge druids to show. This man has witches, so he has access to earth nature magic, which is huge in this game, later on especially. He has access to these adepts of the Golden Order, and he has access to these ice druids. It's absolutely insane the magic diversity that Atlantis was able to find in the late age. And I'm just sitting here with Woodhenge druids, man. This is not fair. Regardless of that, based on the spells they were casting, the only threat to me were really going to be, in my head, these guys. These adepts of the Golden Order casting, right now they're casting fire spells, but once their script is over, they start casting Enslaved Mind, and this is where the problems begin. Between them and this rock, they're going to try to go for my caster over here, who did not have magic resistance gear set up because, man, I just didn't think that Enslaved Mind was coming for me. So I set up to have him Foul Vapors himself, and it's even interesting because he has these Moonblade guys coming over. Thankfully, Undead doesn't care about Moonblade. But this is just an interesting overall situation. He's got these big thugs trying to hit me, and it all just ends because I got enslaved minded, and I didn't consider it that would have happened. And actually, looking at this 11 plus 20 roll, if I had a plus 4, I still would have lost. It would have been a 29 to a 31. So yeah, I still would have lost this combat roll, even if I had given my unit an amulet of anti-magic. But yeah, my entire plan here was have him Foul Vapors himself. I know he did cast Well, these guys especially are poison resistant. But I know he casts Poison Ward. But I was just hoping that I'm going to burn his gems and I'm going to have him poison himself. And hopefully that gets me, the big win that I needed. Unfortunately, that didn't happen. We get to see some more Utgard rating, some more Ulm rating fail. Unfortunately, like these Blood Marshal guys, really good, but he just gets taken out by the crossbows, the ice guards. We have another battle in Summer Edge, where now Summer Edge is being his throne, kicks me off. We have an important battle at the Modern Weald, where we witness the fall of Ulm's god with a pretty, decent set of gear. He's buffing it with luck, but luck always hits. That's unfortunate. Luck always goes on the less hit point target. Almost the opposite compared to most spells that will hit the highest hit point target. This guy comes in. We'll look at his script when he's done. Okay. So Earth Power, Iron Skin, Flying Shield, Temper Flesh, Quicken Self. Okay, that's not a bad script at all. However, against this many crossbows, I think Air Shield might have been better. We're going to see what ends up happening. He is very heavy on fatigue. Oh, but that's 10 reinvigoration. Okay, he's fine. But he is quickened. Well, we'll see what happens here. Last episode, I remember I was saying I didn't know why Atlantis was casting Natural Rain. Shout out to Demosthenes, I think is how to pronounce the name. He actually clarified that it's not so much that Atlantis is casting Natural Rain. He's casting Stygian Rains, which gives all units on the battlefield this invulnerable 15, which even affects your enemies. Well, he has Iron Skin, so it doesn't matter. But invulnerable doesn't matter to Atlantis because all of their units have magical weapons that ignore this. So essentially, this is a straight up buff for them. Such a good nation. Way too strong, I think. Ooh, what's that? Frozen Heart. Oh no. Yeah, he has no magical resistances. Oh, that's very unfortunate. Yeah, that'll rocket up his fatigue, and then he just gets shot by all these crossbows at close range. Yikes. Yeah, a different script might have been better here. A different script might have definitely been better. That's very unfortunate. This was a pretty good pretender. This is a pretty good fight. But I do think he's likely going to go down, even with that much regeneration. Yeah. Because he has water magic. So with water magic, you can do either resist cold or Breath of Winter, which I think Breath of Winter gives you more cold resistance. I think it gives you 10, and resist cold gives you 5. Oh, what would he have swapped here? Yeah, you see that quicken self? Yeah, and the flying. Now, don't get me wrong, flying shield is really, really good. But and let me just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, so flying shield is really good. But I think if he had done air shield and breath of winter, he might have survived this. Yeah, that's way too much damage coming in. He's fire resistant already? Yeah. If he had done air shield and breath of winter, I think he would have defeated this deck. But that's something that, again, maybe the player didn't have as much experience using Titans. That was a very good attempt. 100%, that was a great attempt. But you definitely need to respect crossbowmen when trying to use your Titans because they will get up close like that and they will mass fire you. And you need to respect water mages that are going to cast Frozen Heart. Frozen Heart is really good at killing thugs or super combatants. It's also unfortunate that this guy got killed. But and actually with this guy dying, you do see that maybe this player hasn't used thugs or super combatants as often because thinking in your head, okay, I'm going to cast luck on the other guy. It's not really intuitive that every other spell in the game targets the highest hit point squares, and this spell is going to target the lowest hit point square. And maybe I could be wrong. Maybe this guy was going to cast luck again, and the old player did foresee it, but hey, he got shot in the face by so many crossbows, so it never ended up happening. But definitely, good attempt here, Ulm. Good attempt. I'm proud of you. And now, for the last bit of this episode, we have a fantastic battle. This has to be, to date, one of my favorite battles of this tournament game. I want to say the tournament, and that's technically true. I haven't really seen other games yet. But this is definitely one of the most amazing battles I've ever seen. If you look at this, you would immediately just say, okay, well, Pangaea is going to win. He's brought all these mages, he's brought all these crossbows, he's got all this. But on Uruk's side, you have a Watcher. These things are really good. And Utgard's own Pretender God in probably one of the most interesting kits you've ever seen on a rainbow chassis with these gems, these crazy paths. And just because this is a Pretender God, not just some skidly human mage, you have to respect it. So let's watch what happens, because this is such a cool fight. Oh, worth noting, these guys, these Jotun hurlers on the walls are no joke, especially when units are just right here under them and they're landing all of these boulders and they have infinite ammo because they're on the wall. They are no joke. You never want to get caught up with skeletons there at the gate. All right, so we're going to take a moment. Let's pause it real quick because we are where? Turn 6. So the full script of this guy is Fire Shield, Power of the Spheres, all these blood slaves getting cold, Rigor Mortis. Oh, come on. Oh, at that point he gets attacked by the wolves. So this is where the first part of Genius is. His first spell was Fire Shield because he knows Pan is going to cast Howl. And by taking Fire Shield, the wolves will often just get themselves killed. It's fantastic. Okay, come on, where's the next spell? Oh, did that just end the script? Is he now stuck in melee combat? Oof, okay. Let's go see now what's going on this side of the field. We have a communion. So 6 slaves, 2 masters. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yep. And are they both Astral Earth? Okay, let's see. We have Anti-Magic, Soul Slay, Bear. Communion Master, Power of the Spheres, Astral Healing. I love Astral Healing, man. Astral Healing is really good for chip damage across your entire army. It doesn't look like much, but the effective value of it is enormous. Top of that, he has 2 pans. This guy, I'm assuming, cast Howl and is taking a long nap. And this guy's casting Legion of Steel or something. Mass Protection, good. Yeah. Most people would look at this and still say, yeah, Utgard's got this. Or Pangaea's got this, my bad. There you go. Now, the Frostfather himself, I'll try to scroll through all this crap. He cast Howl. And Howl can backfire in this kind of situation by preventing you from, I guess, getting to your enemy if you're depending on, yeah, there's Howl, on actually like hitting them. And I think, okay, is he casting Claim Life? He's casting Claim Life, so he's done. His script is over. So he's buffed himself to the 9s. Not even to the 9s. His protection is still super low. But he's got good defense skill because of Cold Power. He's got this massive Chill Aura, which these non-sacreds can't do anything about. He's got his Fire Shield to kill wolves. He's got luck through his items. He's cast Howl. He's cast Rigor Mortis. He's twice born, so even if this fails, he's going to survive. Unless he gets Soul Slayed, which is a possibility. And because his fatigue is so high, due to Rigor Mortis, this man with a Skull Staff is casting Drain Life and Incinerate and whatever he wants, but he's making sure to always cast Drain Life. Because Drain Life is going to give him hit points. Look at this. Look how close this got. It's going to give him hit points so you can survive this kind of crap. Even, oh, look, but he does have Undying. And then it's going to restore his fatigue. I don't know what's going on there. I guess he's got to run out of gems first. Yep, and there's Drain Life. And everyone is just taking a nap now because the Rigor Mortis is set in. You know, the wolves are going to come in, and that means that when the units do wake up, they're going to try to hit the wolves. The wolves are going to get Soul Slayed. You know, some skeletons. Like, this is fantastic. this is so well done by I think the player is Cognac McAlpin or something like that. Uh, Very cool dude. I had a pleasure fighting him. But yeah, this battle, I'm so glad I got to see it. It's just such a good play with your generic human pretender god. Just that use of drain life to offset rigor mortis, to keep yourself alive, to have luck, to have undying. I don't know. I'm fanboying over this fight, but I thought that it's pretty damn good. And that's it. And then because it's a rigor mortis, it's a fatigue play, it's just going to wipe out the entire army. Just, they're gone. There's no chance of retreat. They're all sleeping. Eventually, the Utgard army starts routing. Oh, there's one important thing I didn't mention is that pretenders. There's something with pretenders routing in forts or something like that, and that's probably what took so long for this guy to run. But yeah, that's it. The ultimate result is yeah, everyone died, including the Frostfather, due to turn timer and retreats and all that. But everyone died. The entire Pangean army died to nothing, really. It's like these guys are 50 gold each. He lost 50 of them. These guys are 12 gold each. He lost 100 and something. He lost all of these mages to a single pretender god casting some angry spells. This was wonderful. This was wonderful, and I think I'm just going to leave the turn there because, I don't know, it made me happy watching such a clean battle happen. It was such a good fight. Good job, Cognac. And yeah, with that, I'll see you guys next time. Thanks for watching.